Today we're going to be looking at the Greek gift sacrifice. I'd like to start by looking at this position where white can actually sacrifice this bishop on h7. Now this is known as the Greek gift sacrifice. However, that being said, it doesn't always work, so you should be careful and make sure all the conditions are right. Now the two main things here are that first off, this knight is not on f6 where it usually is, so this pawn is defended only by the king, which allows white to sacrifice against it. Additionally, this knight is on f3 rather than being on like e2 or g1, something like that. It's on f3, meaning it can jump to g5 in the future, which we'll see. Now, when white sacrifices, black has two main options. Really, only two options in general, which is what makes this trap so effective. No matter what black does, whether black takes the bishop or just slides the king over, white is completely winning. I'd like to start by looking at what happens when black takes the bishop, which is generally the more common option at the lower level. Now, the winning move here is knight to g5. As I mentioned, the knight is on f3, meaning he can jump nicely in here. And if black tries to run the king back, queen h5 is a complete knockout blow, threatening queen h7. And, well, the best black can really do is just, like, sacrifice the queen. I mean, there's not really anything else. Again, the knight covers f7. Something like rook to e8 is met with queen to h7, king slides over, queen h8 takes, and it's a really nasty position. I mean, this is a mate in one threat, and all of these pieces are just clumped up, and this only developed piece, the bishop, isn't really doing anything. It's just completely winning. Now, the other thing I'd like to take a look at is what happens when, after knight g5, the king steps forward. Now, if the king slides back, well, it's just queen h5, queen h7. And if the king slides up to h6, well, you can play either of these two moves with the discovery. Now, typically on the higher level, your opponent's likely to see that, and play king to g6. Now, the best move here is just simply h4 followed by h5. Computer puts this position as plus 10.1, which roughly means white is up like the equivalent of an entire queen. Black will, again, just like before, probably have to sacrifice the queen. I mean, these threats are just too strong. Queen g4, queen d3, even just castles. All of these are viable options for white to simply win the game. Now, in this position, right when white sacrifices, as I mentioned, black doesn't have to take. Black can slide over. Now, similar to before, you want to play knight to g5. And here in this position, I've looked at two of the most common moves, and that is f6 and g6. Now, these are both extremely logical moves as they try and create more space for the king, because right now, the king has nowhere to move. So something like g6 will make sense, or f6, kicking away the knight, also makes sense. Now, let's start by looking at f6. The best move here is queen to h5, and there is forced checkmate in 3. Say black tries to take the knight to delay the inevitable checkmate. Well, f5 or capturing the knight. Either way, bishop to g6. And now there's a discovered attack. King slides over, and, well, mate. There's nothing black can do. Now, after g5, I also mentioned that as well as f6, which you looked at, there's also g6, which is another main move. And just like before, h4, just a standard move. And there's just so many threats here. Like h5 is a very strong threat. H5 and the taking to open up the rook. It's really powerful here. I mean, just complete positionally dominating for white. If black plays something like queen e7, trying to stabilize this pawn maybe. Like I said, h5, f6 to kick away the knight, and, well, it's kind of game over. H takes g6, and as I mentioned, the rook is just open, even if black just takes this, just like queen h5 or even rook h5 to take this pawn with the bishop and infiltrate that way. And this pawn could be sacrificed, this bishop could be sacrificed as well, and it's just game over. I hope you guys enjoyed the Greek gift sacrifice. Make sure to look out for it in your games, as it is very common and will result in many, many easy wins. Thanks for watching.